It's 1077 The Bone. Baby Huey here, back at it for a very special episode of In The Kliq. Joining me right now is the star of Friday Night SmackDown, the EST of WWE, SmackDown's women's champion, Bianca Belair. How's it going?
I am good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I know. I'm so excited to talk to you right now. I actually talked to your husband about 6 months ago. And so I'm glad to get the power couple together now at one point or another. So thank you again. So much to talk about. So exciting. SummerSlam coming to Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Saturday, August 21st. Tickets go on sale on this Friday, June 18th through Ticketmaster. So Bianca, just tell me, how excited are you that the biggest party of the summer, for the first time ever, is coming to a football stadium and also on a Saturday?
I'm so excited, and this will be one of the first sporting events that will be at full capacity. So I'm super excited about that because we're back with our fans. We're back on the road, and I haven't really gotten to experience SmackDown. Being on SmackDown and being on the road like that. We got a little taste of it at WrestleMania. And so I've been like thirsty for it ever since. And now I get to be SmackDown Women's Champion and go back on the road and go to SummerSlam, a crowd full of fans, and share this with the fans. And that's what makes this special, is being able to share this with the fans and just being back in that atmosphere and feeling the energy that the fans bring. Like, we've been so blessed with the Thunderdome, but nothing replaces physically being there with our fans. So I'm super excited.
Absolutely. I'm excited for you as well. So yeah, Friday, July 16th, that's going to be the first SmackDown with the live audience at WWE Universe, and then Money in the Bank. That's Sunday, July 18th. So I can imagine, as you said, you're excited. The WWE Universe is going to be so happy to see you in person. And since, as you mentioned, since last August, you guys have been in the Thunderdome. So what adjustments do you think you're going to have to make to perform in front of a live crowd again? Because I think the last time that you got to perform outside of WrestleMania was probably NXT, right? So like, what aspects you have to adjust, and maybe what aspects of the Thunderdome maybe you want to see carry over with the live crowd?
Yeah, it was been a while since I've been in front of fans consistently. I think the last big match I had in front of fans was actually NXT Takeover Portland with
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley back in February. And then I got, I debuted on Raw after WrestleMania last year. So it's been over a year. And it was a huge adjustment coming out and trying to debut in front of no fans, and having to reintroduce myself to a larger audience on Raw and SmackDown with no fans, and winning the Royal Rumble with no fans, and finally be at WrestleMania with not full capacity but fans. So it was a really big adjustment of just remembering that behind the camera, those were where all the fans were, and that's I had to focus on I wanted them to feel what I felt. And I'm so glad that they got to share in on that at the Royal Rumble when I won that match and I was just vulnerable. And, so it's going to be a huge adjustment, but I think it's just going to be so much more easier because being able to hear the crowd chanting EST and cheering and booing, and really, it really just puts the why of why we do this out there. And it's so motivating to hear that while you're in the ring. It's like magic.
Yeah. So as you just mentioned, winning the Royal Rumble, these last 6 months of your career has been amazing. So as you said, winning the Royal Rumble, you challenged Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and then you guys perform at WrestleMania. Please just tell me, what was just that whole experience just to perform with not only Sasha Banks, but, two Black women main eventing WrestleMania? What does that mean to you?
It means so much to me, the buildup of it all, from the moment that I was in the ring and I actually pointed to WrestleMania sign and I looked at Sasha Banks and I challenged her. I was in the ring actually shaking as I was challenging her for WrestleMania. And I just remember thinking, I hope nobody can see my hand shaking. So even from the moment that I picked Sasha Banks and I knew that we were going to make history, from the moment that we found out the night before that we were main eventing, to getting to the stadium and it just being like nonstop. And I knew the significance of it, but it wasn't until the first time I stopped moving was when I was in the ring and standing across from Sasha Banks. And that was the first time I actually slowed down and stopped that day. and I saw Sasha Banks. I looked around. I was in Raymond James Stadium. I could hear the fans. And that was when the significance of it really, really, really hit me. And all the emotions were on my face. I'm getting like chills just thinking about it.
I know, me too.
And,
oh my God.
And you know, and I'm so glad that we took that time in the beginning to feel that moment, because that moment was so significant to women of color, to anyone, you know, and it spoke, that moment spoke so much, so many words without us having to say anything. And so to be the person that was in that position, I'm honored. And it was just a significant moment that's going to go down in history. I'm just so happy that I was the person that was in that position, because there were so many people who came before me that could have been in that position. And it was just amazing to walk out as SmackDown Women's Champion in front of our fans at the same time as making history. I can't describe it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you know, watching it at home, I saw both of you guys pause, look at each other, absorb in the moment. And listen, you know, babyface, heel, whatever, all that out the door, just being in that moment, that historical moment, that was so cool just for me to watch. And you know, congrats to you for just pulling that off. That's so awesome. So I just want to know, like, how do you want that WrestleMania match to be remembered 5-10 years from now?
I just wanted to go down in history as one of the best main event matches at WrestleMania. You know, I you know, I hear people saying that, you know, it's one of their favorite women's matches of all time. And, you know, being someone who came into WWE and I didn't have a wrestling background, and I had to start watching matches for inspiration and start learning about the business. So in my mind, like, it warms my heart to think that in the future, maybe, you know, it's going to be girls and women that want to be wrestlers, and they're going to look at Sasha Banks and I's match as motivation and inspiration and go down as like one of the classics. That blows my mind. And it makes me so happy that the way that I was watching other women when I first came in, it's going to be women and young girls that are going to be watching us too, even 5-10 years, 20 years from now. And it's something that I can show my kids. It's just a part of my legacy.
That's great. So also that week following WrestleMania, big moment on NXT. You, Rhea Ripley, and Raquel Gonzalez all came in the ring, had your titles up, that little bit older photo from a couple years ago behind you guys. So, you know, how was that moment for you to kind of come home to NXT where you got started, but just for the three of you to celebrate in the moment?
Yeah, it was, when I found out that we were doing that, it was like, wow, this is something that I needed, that I never knew I needed. And this was the perfect way to do this, was to go back to NXT, the three of us, and looking back and behind us and seeing that picture from, it was a road loop in NXT. I think we were it was a 6-man tag, and we were on the same team. And now we're champions, and I love those girls. Those are my girls. We've been grinding in NXT together, and we always like really just try to build each other up and never tear each other down. That's what I love about Raquel and Rhea. And I just, you know, I love the fact that I feel like this is like the new era of another era of women's wrestling coming through, and we're at the forefront of it. It's cool. And it's cool to be like one of the three that is bringing this new era.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it. I was going to ask you. So we know for years the 4 Horsewomen really did a lot to transcend and elevate women's wrestling. But then I was going to ask, do you think the three of you are kind of like that next crop, that next generation to keep it going, that momentum? So that's so, glad to hear that. So, but just, you know, thinking back on NXT, who was like some of the bigger, you know, you learned the most from your time down in NXT?
Well, just my coach, first and foremost. Sarah Model was the first one who taught me how to do a headlock, a wrist lock, everything. But as far as wrestlers, I remember my first time being in the performance center before I knew anything. Like, Nia Jax was the first person that was like, girl, you got it. Like, you got it. And she was the first one that kind of like really instilled that, you know, that self-confidence. I learned so much from Ember Moon, being in the ring with Ember, learning from how to perform, how to compete, just different elements of being in the ring and not just physically going through things. I learned so much from her. Honestly, it's my husband was a major part of my success, because he really grew up watching wrestling. And remember coming in and being like, I don't even know where to start. And he's like, start here. Let's watch this. Let's watch that. This is what happened. And he kind of guided me through it a whole lot. So he's really just been like my crutch and the person I can lean on and go to, and that will give me honest opinions and feedback and really got me through this whole process.
Yeah. So speaking of your husband, Montez Ford, one half of the Street Profits, it's pretty amazing that we see a couple in wrestling who are both very successful at the same time. So what does that mean to you? And do you think it's safe to say you guys are currently WWE's power couple?
Well, I just say I'm blessed to do what I love with the person that I love. And I think it's really cool that we are kind of like going through this journey together. You know, as soon as, you know, he got to Raw, I got called to Raw right after. And we've really been experiencing these amazing things together. And we've just been on the same path every step of the way. So it's cool that we can enjoy these things together. And we really just like the way that we're like, we strive to be the best. We don't believe in doing the bare minimum. We're always trying to go over and beyond. We're always pushing each other, but we always remember to keep each other first. Like, I think the amazing thing about him, like WrestleMania, he didn't have a WrestleMania match, and I did. And I had this amazing main event WrestleMania match, but you would have never known that he didn't have a match because of how he supported me and how he was there for me. He was a husband before he was a worker. It was the most amazing thing ever. But as far as being the power couple, we're just two people in love, and we just living life and doing what we love with each other. And we're not trying. We're just us. That's my homie.
Yeah, you got my vote. I'd say so, if anything. But speaking of, you know, your in-ring work and everything, a lot of fans love how you use your ponytail to your advantage. Two parts. So, where did that come from? What was the inspiration for you to start incorporating that in the match? And then I got to ask about WrestleMania, you know, hitting Sasha Banks, and you know, we all heard it at home, like it was well mic'd, everything. So please just tell me the whole, like, kind of a little bit of history of, you know, using your ponytail.
Yeah, so I first started using it. I just was wearing it just because I liked it. I was a big Beyonce fan, and my husband, he was the one who really encouraged me to wear it in the ring. And I remember saying, like, no, like the other girls, they have like this long, flowy, beautiful hair, like it's beautiful. They look beautiful. He's like, no. You want to stand out. You want to be unique. And if somebody comes to a wrestling show for the first time, even if they don't remember your name, they'll be like, oh, that's the girl with the braid. So I learned my first lesson of standing out and being unique. And then I was at practice, and my coach is like, you might want to start learning how to use that thing. Otherwise, why do you have it? And so I was just in a match one day, and I threw it at my opponent, and it made this loud noise. And the crowd went crazy. We looked at each other, and I'm like, oh, all right, this is a thing. This is my superpower. This is my weapon. And so it's been like that ever since. But my rule is, don't touch my hair. I won't use it unless you touch it. So with Sasha, if you watch the match,
okay,
he touched my hair over and over and over and over. And I'm like, okay, that's enough. So I felt bad because it made this huge, I think that's the loudest noise it's ever made before. I felt bad, but I didn't feel bad. So I'm like, you asked for it. That's just, don't touch my hair and I won't use it. Same with Bayley, you know, the match where she tried to use it to win and then it backfired on her. And now she's blaming me. It's just like, don't touch it and I won't use it. It's my superpower, and it's used to my advantage. You're not going to use it against me.
Well, as you just mentioned, Bayley, listen, I know it's a busy day and we're running short on time, but I just do want to talk about Hell in a Cell this Sunday, streaming live on Peacock. You're going to be defending your title in a rematch against Bayley. As I mentioned earlier, you know, she is one of the 4 horsewomen, so it's definitely, in some ways, you know, you can view it as one era versus another era, but, you know, kind of give us a little preview of what it means to be going up against Bayley this weekend.
I'm excited to go against Bayley. You know, these weeks leading up, she's been laughing at me, and I'm like, what are you laughing at? And I feel like it's just the ultimate level of disrespect, but the tables kind of turned last SmackDown, where I got to laugh at her. And now, you know, I gave her the rematch for Hell in a Cell because, for one, I want to prove that I am the SmackDown Women's Champion. It's not a fluke, and that I can beat Bayley. Two, I want to close that mouth and stop that laughing. So I'm going into Hell in a Cell, and I know that she's been trying to play some mind games with me because I call myself the EST. I'm the strongest, the fastest, the toughest, the roughest, the quickest, the greatest, the best. So physically, like, oh, let me stay away from that. So she's trying to go after my mental game. So I know that, competing is mental just as much as it is physical. So I have to keep my mental game. I have to keep myself mentally in the game for Hell in a Cell. So I'm excited. I want to defend my title against Bayley. She's the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion. I'm the EST, so I'm trying to take that title from her and be the longest reigning and continue to pin the 4 horsewomen. I've pinned Sasha, Bayley, and hopefully in the future I can go and try to feud with Becky and Charlotte and try to pin all 4 horsewomen and be the face of the new era of women's wrestling coming through.
I love that. So listen, Bianca, I know it's been a busy day doing a lot of press. I just want to thank you for making the time. Thank you for just entertaining us. And, I know being a WWE superstar is a lot of hard work. So thank you. So Hell in a Cell this Sunday, streaming live on Peacock. Tickets for SummerSlam go on sale this Friday over at Ticketmaster. I'm going to try my best to get out there. It's just an hour flight from the Bay Area.
You have to be there.
I will. I'm going to try to get out there. But no, listen, thank you so much for everything. And yeah, good luck this weekend.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks.